differently.
In that situation.
You know
Mm.
why? The way she thought about it, and the way she went in that
Mm.
direction. That
Mm.
let me end it. What do you think she should do? Then
Mm.
there's another thing which is a concern to me.
Mm.
Anyone who has made a failed attempt
Okay.
can try it again.
Mm.
You
Mm.
understand?
Mm.
So
The
what do you
tendencies are
think?
still
Yeah, the
there.
tendencies are still there. So
Mm.
what do you think this woman should do?
Mm.
Or people in her case,
Mm.
because there are people that attempted suicide
Mm.
and it failed,
Mm.
you know. So they are still living with the probably
The
the
situation or the person.
situation. Yeah.
Mm.
So what should be done? What do you think they should do
Mm.
so that things like that do not reoccur? Then there's a case of a man that was about 2 months ago. It happened in Ikorodu.
Mm.
He killed himself. He hung himself actually in his mother's house.
Mm.
And when I asked, they were like, he has two wives. So that on that particular day, he went to the first one, ate, went to the second one, ate,
Mm.
then eventually went to the mother and hung himself.
Wow.
What do you think happened? But from what I got, it was like the man had a kind of business downtown,
Okay.
and they have to gather funds for him. Okay, buy him a tricycle
Mm.
to pick up his life, and
And start all over.
so those who are calling in, what do you think happened to the man?
Mm.
What would have been done differently?
Mm.
If something was done differently, maybe he would still be alive
You'll still
today.
be alive.
But
Man.
you know,
Okay, so if you're listening, you've heard it from Mrs. Adediran. There are two situations that will need your contribution today on the issues. First off is the woman who actually made an attempt to commit suicide, and the reason for this, she claimed to be infidelity. You know, she actually picked up her husband's phone, and she found things that are actually not favorable to her, and then she made an attempt to commit suicide. But fortunately, she was actually restored with the first aid, and afterwards she was brought down to the hospital. Why would she have done such? Because of the information she saw on the husband's phones. What's your contribution? What's your take on this? And secondly, for the man who has two wives, this in Ikorodu here, he went to the first, he ate. He went to the second as well, he ate, and then he decided to take his own life due to the downturn in his business. What can you say to these two situations today on the issues? The phone lines are open on 0904 0811061 or 0904 0821061. Don't forget today, we're talking about changing the narrative, but then while we're changing the narrative, we're making it very conversational. Let us share our minds together. If you also have questions in line with suicide, please feel free to call. We have an expert here who is a mental health practitioner in person of Mrs. Adediran, who will do justice to your questions. Now, let's look at some of the causes, ma. When we talk about suicide, we've just danced through it by the head. I want us to go into details.
okay,
Professionally, for you, why do you think people would want to commit suicide?
okay, I'll take it in this direction
Okay.
in line with this year's Suicide Prevention Day.
Mm.
The theme is changing the narrative.
Changing the narrative.
I will start by talking about the area of awareness,
Mm.
mental health awareness.
Mm.
Thank God for the MD that we have in General Hospital Ikorodu, Dr.
Mm.
Taiwo Hassan. He has really been a lot of support. He has really done well for the mental health committee in the hospital,
Mm.
and this has given us privileges of going to schools, secondary schools, primary schools,
Mm.
and we're going about with this issue of awareness.
Mm.
And we, a couple of schools that we've gone to, we found that there are certain things wrong with some of the students,
Mm.
and part of this changing the narrative is that there must be an opportunity for them to talk, you know, confidential. Some of them wanted to talk. They would say, "I want to see you." They don't want to say
Mm.
it because
Mm.
of the crowd.
Mm. Mm.
So, when you look deep down at this situation,
Mm.
because when we went to those schools and we sat down, we're like, there's really trouble.
Mm.
And part of this thing that I feel the schools should know, you know, the schools need good counselors.
Mm.
You know, let me say 21st century counselors, not
Mm.
old school counselors.
Mm. Counselors that don't know what is in vogue.
The old school counselors will tell you to do things the way we used to do it. But now the students have access to social media.
True.
So they can, if your opinion is something they don't appreciate, they'll go there and
Mm.
source for opinions.
Mm.
We find that some of them were actually being bullied,
Mm.
which is cause of suicide.
Mm.
Because in the cause of the questions they are asking,
Mm.
When a student is telling you that if somebody killed himself, is he suicide?
You can imagine.
You know,
Mm.
some of them want to end it because of certain things they're going through in their homes.
Mm.
We have to ask them openly, okay, are you being bullied? They look around, you know. After some time, they started shouting, yes, yes.
Mm.
They were trying to, point at, we now have to. So, in all those things, those underlying causes of suicide,
Yes.
it's like from the student angle, I look at their age,
Mm.
you know. If those things are not well taken into consideration,
Mm.
you see them growing up with it.
Mm.
There's a case of a girl that, you know, that no, not attempted suicide because she died, you
Mm.
know. She died by suicide. That's the word we're trying to use. We don't want to say committed suicide.
Mm.
Died by suicide.
Let's take this call first. I
Okay,
don't want to
call is
ignore
coming.
this call. Hello.
Okay.
Hello, you're on. Hello, can you hear us? SOS, good morning. How are you doing? Talk to us. Mm. Okay. Okay. Mm. Mm. Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm.
Threat.
Mm. 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 Thank you very much, SOS, for your contribution. Hello to you. Good morning. Who's on the phone line? Good morning. Thank you. Mr. Mustafa, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Mustafa.
Mm.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you. God bless Nigeria. God bless you too. Thank you. So, starting from the first caller, SOS, who talked about societal pressure, and then he also talked about the economic hardship. Let's take this third one, and then we,
Okay.
put it together. Hello. Yes. Good morning. Thank you for calling. Your name and where you're calling us from. Thank you, Mr. Topper. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Topper.
Okay. Mm. 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 Mm, mm. Thank you very much for your contribution. Now, the first caller and the third caller are almost on the same page.
Yeah.
The economic hardship and then societal pressure. What do you have to say to these
Okay.
responses?
Okay, let me bring the three of them together.
Yes, please.
Thank you, SOS, for calling,
Mm.
Mr. Mustafa and Mr. Tope.
Mm.
I want to say this because it's actually part of what I wanted to talk about
Mm.
the area of hardship, how we handle the crisis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to have support system, support groups.
Mm.
Like my secondary school group and my tertiary institution, we have a group,
Mm.
you know, and we are doing a lot of things to help ourselves.
Okay. Personally.
You can't isolate yourself.
Mm.
In times like this, one of the things that will give you an advantage is when you are in a social group that is functioning,
Mm.
and this ability to open up your mouth. There's a lady that they just sent her pictures to us. You know, she had diabetes and she had to be amputated, and she needed the artificial leg.
Mm.
So they sent her also a picture. That's about last week that she has gotten one.
Mm.
You know, when the issue came up in the group, under 1 week we contributed money
Good.
that she should get it,
Mm.
and that was gotten out of the way. And there were others like that. This one had a business issue. We just look at it. What can we do? We said to him. And I have some friends that I do call. I remember when rice rose to 60 something thousand, it was one that sent me money. He said, "Get a bag of rice, give it out." You know, I have people like that. They will call me. Can you help me cook? Let's take it out. So we have our part to play.
True.
You know, because if we sit down here from morning till night, we'll talk about hardship and everything. We have our part to play. Hardship has been something that has been like, you know, it goes around in circles.
Continuous, yes.
There's always a time of plenty. There's always a time of hardship.
Mm.
And right now in the country, all over the nations of the world, we are having it.
Not just in Nigeria.
Not just in Nigeria.
Definitely.
So right here in Nigeria, what we need to do is to support ourselves. You know, whatever help you can give. Like Mr. Tope, when he went to the man's house, you know, it's part of what we're talking about. We're starting with mental health awareness. If you are aware and you know about mental health and you see the sign, it would have been able to help the man. Because at that time, the man has lost meaning to life. You know, he's already going. So he needed someone that probably sit down with him.
That will just change the narratives at
You
that
know,
time.
at times it might just be like, alright, come, let's go and eat. There was a time, okay, we went around doing a normal distribution that we did, and I came across a guy. He just asked me, he said, "Do you have rice?" I said, "Yes," and I gave him. He looked, he said, "I wanted to eat rice." The man wanted to eat rice, and there was no money to buy rice, and he was happy. He said, "I want to go and cook the rice," and he was going. You just gave the man hope. You just made the man to think that things might not be working, it can still work. So there is hope. So many people that are committing suicide is because they are losing hope. I think a call is coming in.
Please, let's go ahead. We'll take the
So,
calls later.
Mr. The SOS said something about society. Don't allow society to pressure you. That's why the issue of we're still going to go back to secondary school, the primary schools.
Yes.
We're having a lot there. A lot of younger ones are doing it. It's like it's a failed attempt, you know. And people will like, what happened? Stomach ache. They are doing some things. They want to end it. You understand? Because of pressure.
Mm.
My friend is using iPhone something Pro Max, you know all those names, and you are using the small one,
The touchlight.
the torchlight. So those are societal pressures. If you are not aware and you don't know, and they are not taught how to handle those situations, you see them doing wrong things, and you think that I'm ashamed of myself. Why are you ashamed of yourself? I read a commentary about Oprah. You know Oprah.
Winfrey.
That at 23 she was fired,
Yes.
and somebody said the person that fired her is a stupid person. The woman said no, she's not. The person is not stupid. He said at that time Oprah does not know that she's Oprah. You know. So what am I trying to say? You don't know who you are. When those hardship are the things that actually bring out the best in you if it is properly handled. And if you are rightly associated. That is why your association is paramount. Who do you associate with?
You know, thank you. If you're listening, yes, we'll still accommodate your calls. I apologize. But then this conversation has to get to a proper landing. Let's talk about the younger ones now, just like you have said. This thing is not exempting them too. We hear of the younger ones also getting involved.
Yes.
How best can we tackle their situation?
Okay, like next week now we're having a competition in the hospital.
Okay.
Some schools are coming because our MD, Dr. Taiwo Hassan, is really, behind us. And when we told him about the report we got from the schools, it was like, how best do we reach out? And we know that from going to one school and the other, with their phones, the students will be able to reach out to their friends that are not in that school. Tell them, come, when you have this mental health issue, this is what you should do. Don't think suicide.
Maybe we should take this call so we don't ignore all the calls. Hello to you. Hello, you're on. Yes, you're on. Good morning. Thank you for calling. Your name and where you're calling us from. Go ahead, Mrs. Odolade. Thank you. Mm. 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 Yeah. Mm. 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 Thank you. Mm. 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 Mm.
significant role.
Mm. 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 Thank you very much for wading into the conversation. You know, let's look at what she said now. Coming down to the family, which is okay. The calls just keep coming in. Let's take another one. Hello to you. Hello, you're on. Good morning. Yes, good morning. We would like you to maintain a very good environment so we can hear you clearly. Please. Your background is very noisy. Okay, please do well to call us back on 0904 081 1061 or 0904 082 1061. That is the studio line. Today, we are changing the narratives, and one of the ways we can change this narrative is by coming out here to talk about this. That is why we have Mrs. Adediran here. Our other caller there, she was talking about the family. Which I also want to agree, the family has a major role to play, most especially in the lives of our children. While I was preparing for this program yesterday, I went on social media and on our search device. I was surprised when I typed how to commit suicide, and options are coming out. So definitely the social media also has another role too. Let's take the two, the family and social media. But let's take this call. Hello. Yes. Good morning, Babade. Thank you for calling. Yes. Mm. 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 All right. Mm. Mm. Thank you, Babadi, for your contribution. Still on this conversation, changing the narratives. suicide is never an option if you're out there listening. Let's talk about the family and social media. Now, another call, please. Hello to you. Yes, please. Mm, 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 mm. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria. God bless you too. Now let's talk about the family. We'll take it one at a time. It is also believed that these days families are not helping. Looking at the pressure that is being imposed a lot on the children, it is not wrong to say that we have families today that are expecting their children that are still maybe in the tertiary institutions to pay the rent for their house. Children are now seen as the ones that actually send money to their parents, and it's supposed to be reversed. We see these children using devices that are luxurious, and we're not asking question. What do you think can be done when you talk about family? Because at a point where a mother or a father has the effrontery to tell the child, look at your mates, can't you see what your mates are doing, this and all that, it gets to the mental health of such a child, and he start thinking otherwise. What do you have to say when we talk about the family?
I think if we take a look back some years ago, the way the country was, a lot of things were not this way. It's like we have shifted our priorities. We haven't gotten the priorities right. We've shifted priorities, and we value money. We value affluence. We have placed, we'll simply call it misplaced priority. So this is affecting, in the area of education. What's the priority that is placed on education, on innovation, on creativity? So a lot of things have shifted, and the father looks at it that you've gone to school. We've seen someone. I remember a friend of mine. We were actually classmates in primary school. When I saw her, she was selling vegetables. I was like, "Are you not going to go to school?" He said, "My brother went to school. He's a graduate. He's at home sleeping, no job.
So why should I go?
So why should I?" So now look at it like what Mr. Mustafa is talking about, the government policies. There's certain policies that the government need to revisit and help. But of late, if you look at what is going on, you see a lot of policies coming up, a lot of opportunities coming up. And as a result of social media, people are getting access to a lot of information. There are conferences, there are initiatives for the youth. You see them from ages 18 to 25, 25 to 35. A lot of opportunities are now coming. Thank God for social media. Thank God for, the help people to access this information. So a lot of things are changing in that respect. But what we are saying is that the family values.
True.
There are certain families that, even like my son will ask me, say, "Mom, I'm going to school. If I come back from school and I come with this car and I say it's for you, will you take it?" I said, "Definitely." Why are you asking? Just want to know my mind. I said, "I won't take it from you." Which job did you do under 1 year that generated that? I started telling him things that we asked him. Because the truth is this. My boy finished secondary school. It was coming from, he went for a training on leadership. And he was coming home on this particular day. And he said somebody was like, "Ping, ping, honey." He was like, it was a classmate.
Wow.
I was like, I just said, "I greet you. See you later."
Pressure.
He drove off. And he told me, say, "Mommy, that boy is doing Yahoo." He knows he's doing Yahoo. He's into all manners of things, So if a parent don't train their children properly, it can tend to affect them the way they think. They can become obsessed. They can become, a lot of things that can happen to them, and that is their mental health. They start feeling less of themselves. I'm brilliant than this one. I'm more this and more that, you know. So these things are societal pressures that come. The family has the part to play in talking to your children, making them feel that you are not less of yourself. If you are not doing well at this particular age, this is what you need to do. This is a survival strategy. You know, now we tell our students that come, you got admission to the university. During the holiday, you can go and learn a trade, you know, learn a skill, do this, do that, preparing yourself for the future. So we see that what we need to do now as parents, we've seen it all, that these things are happening and they have come to stay. This oppression is right here. Like if you go to some of the supermarkets now, you know some of those people that come to buy, you know that these ones, they come to oppress. And if you don't take your time, you might go home and decide that you are ending it all, that with all the work you have been doing, you're not able to buy bread and sardine and a bottle, you know. So a lot of things are happening from what the callers are saying. But the aspect of the family is that father, mother, even if the father is not there, even if the mother is not, no matter how the family is, let's all come together and talk to ourselves and tell ourselves that you can do it, you can make it. And failure does not mean that's the end. I always tell people when I meet them, I say, this is you failed, and you decide to kill yourself. I've seen people that failed exam in schools and they decide to go and commit suicide because they couldn't pass, you know, because they couldn't graduate with their mates. And that is why part of the changing the narrative, one aspect of it is that promote stories of resilience. You tell people stories of people that have gone through hard times and they were able to come out. So if you have gone through hard time and you came out strong, you know, like the chairman of mental health committee, Ikorodu, Dr. Adediran will tell you that at a time in his life, he was thinking suicide, you know, a lot of challenges, and he grew up, he's a medical practitioner today. He's telling people that, see, when I see someone and I see, you know, I stay with you for 2 minutes, I can tell whether you are thinking this way or that way, you know, because he has gone through it. He came out of it. So he's able to know. So we need that family support. And if you're having a family that you're not getting the kind of support that you need, that's where you have other support system. And you know, I was talking about schools. I don't want us to forget this. For proprietors and the teachers that are listening to us, please, the role of the counselor in the school cannot be overemphasized.
There are a lot of schools that don't even have counselors again.
It cannot be, and that's why I said at the beginning, I said the counselors we're talking about is the 21st century counselors, not old school counselors. Because those old school counselors, they will not allow the child to express his or herself freely, to be able to know what it, you're saying. Don't say it. They don't say it. You keep quiet, and the child keeps it, and the thing keeps bothering the child until it explodes. So the role of the counselor in the school, because this is a reality. We have children as young as 2 years already being submitted. Let me use the word submitted in schools. The parents are not there. So they are placed in the hands of the caregivers from that age 2 till probably 16. So the children, they spend a lot of time in school, even more than at home. So the contact they have with their teachers, that's why the teachers, if you have teachers, if you're a proprietress and you're listening, please pay your teachers very well. Give them training. You understand? Let them be exposed to a lot of these things about mental health training. Let them have it. You can invite facilitators to your school to talk to them, because they are a medium of reaching these children. And these children have contact with other children, so it can spread round. Because at times, the teachers, if they are able to notice, like it happened to someone close to me, it was the teacher that noticed that something was wrong and quickly called the parent, and that child was saved. So if we are having teachers that knows the sign, when you see a student that is doing very well in school, all of a sudden the grades dropped, what you need to do under changing the narrative is not, you know, it's not to start questioning, it's not to start, you know, putting blame. You are trying to prevent. What you need to do is to sit the student down, try and get answers to questions, don't judge that student, because changing the narrative, if you want the best and you don't want that child to go off, what you need to do is that, see, it's all right to fail. It's all right to fail.
It's all right to fail.
It's all right to fail. We shouldn't see failure as the end. You know, when you check through history, the greatest scientists that we ever had, they kept failing, you know, and they kept on moving
over and over.
You know, so how do you define failure? You tell an average person, how do you define failure? Some will tell you failure is an opportunity to do it another way again. Someone will tell you failure, that's the end. So the way you perceive failure is what will make you to know if you are on the right track. And it will also help your mental health. Because the way, if you perceive failure as I have an opportunity to do things differently, your mental health will be quite better than someone who is thinking once it fails, that's the end.
We have just 2 minutes or thereabout to sign out, but wrapping up this conversation, 1 hour can never be enough to talk about suicide, and we want to thank you very much for helping us through this conversation. Now, the mental health is the driving factor. If anybody wants to think of suicide right now, it begins with the mental health, what they have in their head.
Yes.
How best can we deal or caution our mental health? Also looking at the angle of stigmatization. Most people that commit suicide don't talk about it because they know people around them will laugh at them or criticize them or stigmatize them. Let's wrap it up from that angle. How best can we deal with our mental health?
Okay, number 1, I said something about promoting mental health awareness. Number 2, prevention of overreaction.
Prevention of overreaction.
Yes. And this goes to the boss, it goes to the supervisor, it goes to those who have people that they manage. You understand? Don't overreact. When things happen, the way some people react, you that committed that particular mistake, you feel like, you know, and coupled with what is going on in society now, a lot of people cannot handle pressure. You need to see people on the street behaving like mad, you know, mad people. And they're not mad. It's just because of the state of their mental health. You know, they are wearing clothes. You see people on suit fighting because of change. Give me 100 naira. And you'll be wondering, oh God, your suit, oh God, your briefcase. And it's ready to fling you'll be wondering that over 100 naira, it's not the value of the money. There's something wrong. You know, the state of the mind. So we also mentioned something about encouraging support system. Please don't stay alone. If you see anyone that is having mental, probably thinking is suicidal and is having mental health issues, please, that person must not stay alone. It's one of the signs. When you notice someone that used to be friendly, all of a sudden keeping to himself, it's one of the signs to know that something is wrong. And anyone that keeps to himself, you know, by definition, how do we scientists talk about human beings? We say we are social animals, you know. So once you see that you are not, the person is not socializing, is losing touch with reality, that person is going off, and that person can commit suicide at any time. So
thank you so very much for giving us that opportunity today. Thank you to everyone who has also called in to be a part of this conversation. Remember, suicide is never an option, and if at all you have questions, more questions to ask, or you're actually battling with one thing or the other, depression is another thing that leads to suicide, just find your way down to General Hospital Ikorodu, ask of Dr. Adediran. In fact,
let me give you numbers for
okay, yes, we would permit that for today.
Okay, yes. Before we wrap up everything, I want to thank God for the Lagos State government. You know, this morning I was going through some lines and I called the emergency line. And Mr. Abiodun, thank you for staying good to your work. Mr. Abiodun, I called 767. It picked. It made the phone ring. It picked. So I introduced myself that we're having this discussion and I just wanted to find out how effective the line is. You know, so Lagos State, well done. Then we also have our own. There's a helpline for Lagos Mind. It's 090 99 00 64 63. I should take it again. It's 090 99 00 64 63. Then for Ikorodu, you can send a WhatsApp or a voice note
Okay.
to this line. 090
090
73
73
06
06
27
27
81.
81.
I take it again. 090
090
73
73
06
06
27
27
81.
81. This is how far we can have it today. And remember again, I tell you, nothing worth you taking your own life. God bless Nigeria. God bless every one of you out there. It's a bye for now on the issues. And thank you very much for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for all those who called in.
Yes.